Hello, everybody. I am Peter Paccone, and I am here today with AP World History teacher Steve Rauch. Steve, nice to have you here.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're going to have you jump right in. And same question I ask all my teachers that I interview. Tell us your story. First of all, you teach where? Right now, where are you teaching AP World History?
I teach at the Morton Freshman Center in Cicero, Illinois. So it's just about in Chicago. It's about as far close to the city as you can get without actually being in the city. So almost Chicago public schools, but not quite. We're just right there outside their boundary.
I was just in that area presenting 3 times in the past year. Tell us your story of how did you become a teacher? I mean, where did you grow up? Tell us that story. We'll get to know you a little bit.
I grew up in a suburb southwest of Chicago. LaGrange Park, went to Lyons Township High School, graduated there in 2002. Had some really great, fabulous history teachers at my time there. And I thought, I could probably do that. That looks pretty fun. I had one teacher, she turned her classroom into a monastery when we were learning about the Middle Ages. So shout out to Mrs. Leader for doing that one. I still remember that one all these years later. And then my AP European history teacher, Mr. Doyle, he was as tough as nails when it came to history. I thought I knew a good bit of history walking into AP European history, and I knew very little. He was a very challenging teacher. I learned a lot, but he gave us a lot of confidence because we were getting ready for the AP test. And we said, how's your tests compared to the AP test? He goes, oh, mine are much harder. And I go, well, okay. So I did pretty well on that test. I got the college credit. So I had some really good teachers in high school, went off to Northern Illinois University, graduated there with a degree in history with teacher certification, started teaching in 2007. My wife, love her so much. She and I moved across country. She moved sight unseen to a small town in Arizona called Bullhead City, about 100 miles south of Vegas.
I know it, right by the dam, right?
There.
I know.
Yeah, I taught out there for 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's where I cut my teeth as a teacher. 4 years in the desert. I taught world history, AP US history, economics, American civics. And then ran student council out there, got my master's out there, had our first son was born out there. We moved back, ended up at Proviso West in about 2014. And I taught there for about 8 years. I taught American history and American studies, African American history, sociology, issues in America. I'm probably missing one or two. I taught a lot of different classes. It was a bunch. And then 3 years ago, I switched over to Morton, where I am now, and I teach at the Freshman Center. So it's a building of about 1,000 freshmen.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's a lot of freshmen. it's a great school. I work with some really great teachers there. I remember being in one of my first PLTs or PLCs, every school has their own different acronyms. We call them PLTs. And I remember sitting there with Jim Conley and Eileen McCormick, Peg Frigo and Dave Rose in the AP World History PLT. And I walked out there thinking, man, these teachers are just fabulous. This is nuts. What am I doing here? They're so much better than I am. But they were very encouraging and they helped me a lot my first year there. So I really appreciated their extra help as I made the transition from Proviso West to the Freshman Center, and they were fabulous. And I still work with a bunch of them now, although Peg's retired, but I still work with Jim and Eileen and Dave, and they're just fabulous.
1,000 freshmen. I taught for nearly 40 years at high school. We were lucky to have 1,000 students. My goodness.
It's a big district. Morton's got a lot of students. We have about 1,000 freshmen. A small year is when we only have 900. That's a small class.
Tell us about the demographics of those 1,000 freshmen.
At the Freshman Center, it's predominantly Hispanic. We have different levels of EL students. Some kids know very little English outside of their native language. Some kids are okay; they can get by conversationally, and then there are some kids who will actually test out of EL services during their freshman year. So we run the whole gamut of students with language issues as well. We have some African American students as well. Maybe like 5% or so of the student population, but we're predominantly Hispanic.
And how many AP World History sections do you have this year?
I have two. I've had two every year that have been at the Freshman Center. It's a wonderful way to start my day. First and second hour have always been AP World History. It's a nice, great way to start my day. Makes the transition from spring break or a winter break or the summer break back into the routine of the school year a lot easier when you know you're gonna have some really fabulous students.
30 students approximately or more?
My first year was small. I only had about 12 in the one class, which was fabulous because I got to know the kids really well and I could really help them one-on-one to get better. The other class was about 18. Last year, the classes were a little bit bigger. They're around 20. This year, it's my biggest yet. I have 46 students between the two sections.
Oh, I thought you were going to say in one.
No. Oh man, that'd be a lot. But yeah, I got about 45, 46 AP World History students this year.
And yeah, we're going to get to you and the use of Class Companion in that World History class. But before we do, so I'm just curious, do you guys have an open door policy? Or is there a selection policy to get into your class? How does that work?
It's based on teacher recommendations from 8th grade, as well as how they perform on their map scores. Their 8th grade. I don't know if everyone knows MAPS testing, but we do that in Illinois, where the kids take a computer test, and based on their answers, it makes the test easier or harder to see what kind of level they have for various subjects. Reading, writing, math are all part of that. So if the kids score well on that, they can take advanced placement classes their freshman year. They have two choices. They have AP Human Geography and AP World History.
I love that geo class.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can add that one, I strongly suggest. It's a great class.
Some of my good friends at the Freshman Center, they teach AP Human Geography, and they have some heated conversations at their PLTs as they argue over best way to teach stuff.
Yeah, I'll bet. So, I brought you here today to talk about your use of Class Companion, but first of all, for the benefit of teachers who are relatively new to Class Companion. I mean, Class Companion is known for being able to do four things. This AI-driven platform is going to do a quick little summary for four things. And one of those is, and they all have to do with teachers uploading to Class Companion an assignment and then sending the assignment to their students. Students respond, click submit, get instant feedback, AI-generated instant feedback, whether it's a multiple choice assignment or a writing assignment, SAQ, LEQ, DVQ. The student gets instant feedback, and the teacher then also gets feedback, so that the teacher knows instantly to what extent various students are being able to master both the MCQ, the content, and the writing skills for the FRQ. So another thing that Class Companion can be used for, and is being used for increasingly, is not so much for a summative style test, but to check for understanding. MCQ, SAQ to check for understanding. So I'm going to start off by just asking you, are you using it at all for that purpose? Or tell us about how you're using it in any case right now. How are you using Class Companion?
I'm using Class Companion in all my classes, not just the AP World History class, but also the, we call it core, but it's the run-of-the-mill regular World History class as well. I use it mainly to check to make sure the kids have mastered a skill that they should have. A lot of my students, they're not used to the rigor of writing that's required of them from the College Board for the AP World History exam. Writing a strong thesis statement with contextualization, that's challenging for freshmen. They don't always understand all the steps involved in establishing a line of reasoning that creates a historical argument. So once we practice that a lot in class, sometimes we'll use silly prompts like evaluate to the extent that boneless chicken wings are just chicken nuggets. We take the history out of it so they can just not get caught up in the content, but in the skill. And so when I think they've mastered their ability to write a thesis statement, I'll give them a class companion assignment where they need to write a thesis. And we build from there. Then we start adding in contextualization. Okay, now you can do contextualization. Can you do it now with a thesis statement? Can you essentially write your introductory paragraph for an LEQ or a DBQ? And I tell them right off the bat, I said, if you can do that, that's a 2 out of 6 on the LEQ, 2 out of 7 on a DBQ. You're stacking points like a Lego house. And even if you run out of time on the LEQ, if you can just write a contextualization statement with a thesis, 2 is better than 0.
I agree.
They go, but Mr. Rauch, that's an F grade. I go, okay, well, think of it this way. Would you rather have $2 or no dollars?
Very good. Are you comfortable taking over the screen and
Sure.
going? Let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can live demo this a little bit. Okay, I think I'm going to add you. There you go. There you are. All right. So this is your dash. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my first hour AP World History class. And here I gave them 9 spring break writing assignments to get done since we're on break right now. And I told them, I said, look, I'm not one of those teachers that likes to give homework over break because it's called break for a reason. I said, but I have to because we're about a month away from the test and you got to keep your skills pretty sharp. So I gave them various assignments. You can see like some of them is just writing a thesis statement. Some of it's writing a thesis with contextualization. So it's just practicing those skills over and over again. So when they get to the test, they know that they have that confidence that they can do it. Because I think the biggest problem for a lot of the students is feeling confident. Yeah, they feel overwhelmed by the massive scale of the test. But if you just build that confidence through a lot of practice, they'll be just fine.
So let's say for example your Unit 2 thesis only. Now, where did that assignment come from? Did you create that assignment? Did you find it in the content library of Class Companion?
Let's take a look. I think I created this one. I think I kind of looked at some of our stuff that we did in class, as well as I looked at some of the old LEQs that the College Board had released. And I thought, what would be a good LEQ prompt from maybe Unit 2? And so the kids had to write on that. And I usually give them a couple attempts, unless we're doing it for like a test. Then I only give them 1. But here it's just practice, and I like to give them the timer as well, because I've told the kids on the first day of school, I said, you'll know the knowledge, you'll know the content, you'll have the skills to do well on the test, but can you do it in the time that you're given? And so that's the biggest challenge. I call it a marathon sprint.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go back to your class dashboard for a second. And okay, so there we go. Now let's walk through this step by step. That's right. So you're a teacher, your AP World History, for the benefit of those, you want to create an assignment. So we're going to click obviously on add an assignment, right?
Right.
So my question to you is, generally speaking, for AP World History, are you going to create an assignment with AI, work with AI to create an assignment? Are you going to import one that you have in your classroom already, or are you going to try to find one in the content library? Which of the 3 do you use most often?
Most often, I try to find something in the content library, and then I can just edit the assignment. I've done the generate with AI several times as well. I use that more when it's something very specific to my class or something specific to Morton. Sometimes we have these specific assignments that we have to complete, and so sometimes we'll do that. And oftentimes I'll just create from scratch. Okay. I have an idea for an assignment, for a writing prompt, and then I'll see if I can play around with the settings from scratch to make the assignment come out.
Let's click on Find in Content Library. Let's assume that you've gone that route. And now, I'm seeing here, there we go. And you're going to walk us through that. So if you're a new teacher, what are you going to click on next when you go to?
The first thing I'm going to click on is whatever kind of subject area that I want to go. So I always I'll go with AP World History.
All right.
And then I want all the standards and everything gets popped in there. And then I'm going to go to format. If I want a short answer question for like an SAQ, essay would be for like an LEQ or DBQ or multiple choice. I typically do SAQ or LAQ. So we'll go with SAQ because we can have more fun with the stimulus, because we have to do SAQ questions 1 and 2 are required by everyone, and those have stimulus. So usually I'll go for an excerpt because the kids need extra practice with primary sources. So I'll click that. And then I'll pick whatever unit that we've been working on. Or if we're doing a review, I'll look at the CED for the test and see which unit do I think they're going to do a lot of writing on. So, I'll pick like consequences of industrialization. So there's usually some good stuff there. And then you can filter by creator, and you can also look by topic, which breaks down the whole unit 6. So maybe I'll look at how indigenous people responded to industrialization. And then I'll look through the titles here and see if I can find a topic that works well.
Okay, let's click on one. And why don't we assume you're giving a new one out to your kids? And
all right, so now click preview, and then this shows me everything that I need to know about the assignment. It has the source. It's got the question down here, and it just kind of repeats for the other 2 questions part of that SAQ. And over here it gives you a little bit more specific information, like what unit it came from, the topic, the format, the rubric that's going to be used to grade it. And what's really fancy is you can click on that and it pops out in a new window, and you can see the rubric ahead of time.
Okay. So take a look at that excerpt, just kind of glance it over in the questions. The quality of, as far as prepping students for SAQ, I mean, I'm seeing relatively lengthy excerpt, which I'm happy about. I mean, it's not a 1-sentence excerpt.
Right.
Adam Smith, that's right on point. Looks good to you?
Yeah. I mean, last year on the test, the questions that my students had, the one excerpt for the SAQ was probably about 4 paragraphs. It was pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
So I was surprised when I saw that. So seeing a couple paragraphs here, I think that's perfectly fine.
And let's look at the questions now. How do you compare, identify?
Yeah, it seems like the College Board has moved to a lot of identify or explain questions for the SAQ.
Yeah.
That was a surprise. They started, 2 years ago, I think?
Yeah.
Where it used to be a little bit different in their approach, and now it just seems like identify, explain, or identify the author's argument, compare this idea to that idea. So I hope it stays like that for a while. I think it's easier for the kids to get the point on the SAQs when they're a little bit more straightforward like that.
And now, so you're saying you like this. This is particular assignment. How does it get to the kids? Show us where the assignment.
All right. So I'll click add to class.
Yeah.
I'll pick whichever class I want to add it to. Okay. Click continue. Come on, you can go. There we go. And this is where you can have a lot of the fun. This is if say you didn't like some wording in one of the questions, you can go through and edit it here. You can add in another group of questions to the SAQ if you really want to hammer home a certain point. So you can do some edits to the assignment right there. Then you can go to the AI settings. You can turn the AI tutor on and off.
The AI tutor. Explain that. What's your understanding of the AI tutor?
There's this little tutor through class companion called Ditto that can be there to help the kids answer questions if they get stuck on a topic. They can ask for hints. They can get help. It's kind of like having like a teacher with them. So if they're at home, say on spring break, and they get stuck and they don't know if their teacher's available to answer their questions, they can ask the AI tutor to help them for that.
Do you normally leave that on, or do you shut it off?
For my AP kids, I usually shut it off. For
Mhm.
my non-AP kids, I usually leave it on, because sometimes they just need a little bit more help.
Mhm.
And then down here, I know it says optional, but you can upload some sort of reading or document or picture or link to help the AI understand the context of the assignment. So, for example, in my non-AP class, we use the historical acronym INSPECT to
Mhm.
analyze history. And we wanted the kids to practice writing and using INSPECT. So how does the interaction with the environment or politics or economics, culture, technology, society, shape various things? So I actually uploaded the INSPECT chart that we used in class to the AI. So when the kids were doing the assignment, the AI understood this crazy acronym that we were using in class.
Mm. Now, so we're at this point and we've assigned it. So now the students are going to get it, right?
Right.
When you publish it, or
Yep. Yeah.
okay.
The kids get it when you click publish.
Now let's just, from your experience, your kids, your school, your demographics, how are the kids responding to being assigned this kind of work through Class Companion? What has been your experience?
Kids seem to be engaged with it. They seem to like it. They like the instantaneous feedback. We all know as teachers, the faster you can get feedback to a student, the more impactful it is. With 45, 46 AP students, it can take me a long time to get through their LAQs and DBQs. Even SAQs can take me a long time. So then when they get it back a week, 2 weeks later, you're kind of like, I don't remember any of this. And at the speed that we have to move through the content, we could be on a whole new unit by the time they get their feedback back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember writing about this. What was
Mm-hmm.
this about again? And so having that instantaneous feedback can really, really help kids understand where they're making mistakes and then stop making them. They can improve on them. They can have that light bulb moment. They go, oh, here's where I've been making that mistake. And now I know how to fix that.
I'm going to move this off just so I can, there we go, just see you for a second. So we're going to come back to that. My next question is the accuracy of the assignments, of the scoring. Now, just so I understand, you're giving your kids both SAQs, LEQs, and DBQs, right?
Right.
And what I'm curious about is your experience with the accuracy of the assessment, the feedback, as well as the attempt to score. What are you finding with that?
I have found that it's over the years it's gotten more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I think the AI assisted grading is understanding the rubrics a little bit better, and it's giving more accurate and reliable feedback to the students.
And to the teachers who say, "Wait a minute, this is a teacher's job. This is not for a machine." How do you respond to those teachers? Because we know they're out there.
Yeah. There were some at my school.
I was wondering. Yeah.
Like that, and I understand what they're saying, and I hear their concerns on what they're saying, because it's new technology, and people are hesitant or uncertain or worried about how this new technology is going to influence their job at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But if you look back historically, teachers have always kind of been hesitant about new technology, whether it's been ballpoint pens, making their own chalk. I mean, there's some really funny things out there where teachers were hesitant to adapt to like new technology. I mean, I saw a clip on YouTube and from the early 90s, and it was a science fair, but kids weren't allowed to use a computer to create their science project. And so because people were afraid the computer was going to make it too easy for the kids to make their science fair project. And now you think, well, every kid at my school has their own laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, let alone a cell phone.
Yeah.
We have these walking around with these supercomputers in our pockets.
Mm-hmm.
But 35 years ago, we couldn't use a laptop to make a science fair project. So it's okay to eventually come around to using that new technology. It's not there to teach the material. You're still teaching the material. I'm still teaching how to write a thesis and contextualization and how to source. I'm still answering the questions from the kids when they're looking at a DBQ and a document, and they go, how do I use this in my writing? The computer's not doing that. The computer is just giving them feedback on bits and pieces of their writing for a lot of practice to drill in how to handle different prompts, how to tackle different writing styles. I'm a big baseball fan, so I tell the kids, I go, this is like batting practice. You sit up there at batting practice, and it's boring as heck, but you swing the bat 100 times to get that muscle memory of how to hit different types of pitches. So this is practice, and we're going to keep practicing and doing it and drilling it in. So when you get to the game, to get to the real event, the test in May, you are all good to go.
The other teachers, how have they embraced AI instant feedback, and especially a platform, your use of Class Companion? What are their thoughts?
They've really come around on it. At first, they were hesitant, but I'm not the only teacher at my district that was really pushing for Class Companion. We had some AP US history teachers also pushing for it pretty strongly as well. And we've done some small group PD where I showed some world history teachers how to do it. They showed some US history teachers how to do it. And more people are jumping on that idea that you can use this to help students learn. And at the end of the day, we're trying to do what's best for kids. And if kids need help writing, they need practice. How are you going to get them practice? Okay, you give them an assignment. Okay, now you have 45 essays to grade. Yeah. How impactful, how relevant is the feedback going to be if it takes you 2 weeks to get it done?
Steve, I'm going to give you back the desktop here, and I'm going to ask you a question. So, Steve Heimler, you know Steve Heimler?
Yeah.
Right? Do you
get your brain cows milked?
That's it. So you show us some of Steve's videos once in a while, or not?
Yeah, once in a while. I will assign his videos kind of like as a unit assignment. Give the kids some video questions to answer. That AP World History Facebook group is just phenomenal. I mean, the teachers in there are just some of the best. The sources that are willing to share with people are absolutely phenomenal. They really saved my butt my first year teaching the class. And I got hired late, and so I started teaching late. And man, that group saved my butt my first year teaching AP World History. And Steve Heimler came in big time that my first year teaching.
I'm going to probably be chatting with him next week. I'll pass that along.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's try something. Let's go back. Let's try something with Steve's videos in mind. Let's see if we can do this. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to attempt to pair Class Companion with the Heimler video, and thereby provide students with the ability to check for understanding of their review process. So click back for a second. We're going to go back to your dashboard all the way to begin.
All the way.
There, we can do it right here. We can go to assignment. That's fine.
Okay.
So go. Yep, that's right there. Good. Now let's go click add an assignment. And now what we're going to do is we're going to choose the generate with AI. Let's see if this will work. Okay.
All right.
So what I'd like you to do is open up a separate tab and go to Heimler's video. Pick one of his review videos. Topic. Unit 7, Unit 6, whatever you want. Let's just see if you can find the video. Do you know how to access the transcript by any chance?
No. How can I do that?
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than you think. Normally what happens is you go right underneath the video to where the information is, and usually as you read down a little bit, it'll say more. You click on the more, and then typically what happens, there's two different ways you can get it. And this is probably the only one I'm going to watch.
I see it now.
You see transcript, right? So click on that transcript, and then does it pop up in the right-hand corner of?
Yep.
Good. So you have two choices over there. I believe one is like toggle. Can you click the toggle and then the timestamps come off? Is that worked for you? It's the easiest way to do
Yep.
it. Good.
Timestamps are off.
Okay, you ready? Now
Yeah.
just copy and paste from the very top. It's going to take you a while. Just
Yeah,
copy.
he talks fast.
Just copy and paste everything in that transcript into this copy and then paste it into this objective box here.
Okay.
We're going to try something together. Oh, you got it. All right. Scroll to the top now. Yeah, that's a lot. And now before the hey, you ready to get your enlightenment? Yeah. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, create for me, I don't know, 10 check for understanding multiple choice questions. However you want to phrase it is fine with me. Yeah, fine. Okay. Based on Steve Heimler's, I don't know which one you typed in there, review video, and then put the title and the
enlightenment.
Yeah, enlightenment. Okay. On the enlightenment. Now, good. So, look, I'm a fan of what Steve does. Okay. And he knows I say this. But what Steve, when he does this work, I mean, he's entertaining. He's gifted, but he also does some entertainment in it, the eye rolling and the one-liners and so on. Well, that eats up time. And so oftentimes he's not able to get to all the content that is in the key concepts or the essential learning of the CED. Is there anything at all? We're just going to try this. Is there anything at all that you very specifically think students have to know? Like, if you want, you can put it in there, but especially assess them on, just in case he didn't cover it. I'm thinking of the enlightenment when I do it. Is anything coming to mind? I would probably have to go to the CED, look at the key concepts, and just have it joggle.
I'm going to throw in the Jamaica letter.
Oh, nicely done. All right. So now we're going to generate. I mean, you can do the top part, sure, if you want to fill those all out, type, but we don't have to.
No.
Yeah. Good. We did it. And now we're going to go generate and review. So imagine if you had your students watch the Heimler video, whether they watch it in its entirety or not, doesn't matter. You're just leaving it up to them. You're saying, but I'm going to give you MCQs based on the Heimler video because we know that he does solid content, and it's definitely worth using the video to watch or to review. So now look over those questions and tell me how those questions look. Do they look like questions you would want to put before your kids? Do you see anything there? You go, wait a minute, what's this?
Just looking at the first few questions here, it looks like these are great video comprehension questions.
Great video comprehension questions, yeah. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll back to the very top. And we're even higher. And we're going to preview as a student.
Oh, that's always fun. I always like doing this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's your call. I mean, if you want to try something with Ditto, just what would you do now as a teacher? Okay, you're preview. Yeah.
I always do this to like show the kids like you can make mistakes and you can ask people for help. So it's like maybe what does ideological mean?
Good.
I mean, a lot of kids don't have strong vocabulary skills, so why not ask?
Why not ask, right?
And of course, now watch my internet go slow, so Ditto can't respond.
Mine did that yesterday. Are you aware? And I know I mentioned earlier, but if you said you have a lot of students who speak Spanish. Did I understand that right?
Yeah.
Now, as an AP teacher, this is an interesting question here. You could program Ditto. You could direct Ditto to provide responses and allow students to communicate with Ditto in Spanish. As an AP World History teacher, is that something that you might consider or not? And I know there's a complete difference of opinion on that question.
That's a really challenging question,
right? Yeah.
I mean, the teacher side of me says, yeah, absolutely. But then the College Board, everything's going to be in English.
Yeah.
They don't offer any tests in outside the foreign language tests, and everything, all the tests are done in English. So I might let the kids do that maybe for like the first couple of units of the school year, just so they can kind of get comfortable and confident about things. But at some point, they're going to have to switch over to English, because the College Board only gives the AP World History test in English. And we can fall down a different rabbit hole of whether or not that's a good decision by them. But because of that standard, I'm going to have to go with that kind of answer.
Take a look at Ditto now and judge the response for us. Tell us what you think about the quality of that response.
This says the term ideological relates to a set of beliefs or ideals that shape a person's or a group's way of thinking, often influencing their values and actions. Yeah, I like that.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
I'm curious, what if you put in there, hey, I didn't understand that, explain that to me in simpler terms? Can you make that in simpler terms, or can you give me an analogy? I have no idea whether it can do this or not. I'm just testing out the Ditto here. Yeah. And did it offer it up in simpler terms?
It did. It just says related to ideas or beliefs that help shape how people think or act.
Can we do an analogy of ideology? I don't even,
Now I'm going to misspell all my words here and show off how terrible of a speller I am. They just said it's like rules in a game.
Okay. Rules of the game. That's an analogy of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering if we went to, can you explain this, the word ideology in Spanish? I'm curious. You could have turned it on earlier, but I'm wondering right now if it defaults to allowing you to do this. Don't think it's going to do that. Yep. Right.
Nope, not yet.
So I will share that, I have a tutoring business, ELA and social studies, AP tutoring business. And I work with a lot of kids who English is not their first language. What I have found is when there's a struggle to understand something that I've taught, I will simply say to ChatGPT, hey, I'm doing the compromise of 1820, 1850, and Kansas, Nebraska Act. And I need you to explain this all in Chinese. And then I send it to the student. And then I say, now I want 10 MCQs in Chinese. And then we do it a second time. And if I have to, a third time. And then I turn it over to the English, and I do 1 or 2 times. And now they're able to answer any and all the English questions. It's a little bit of a process. It's not real smooth, but that's a technique I've been using, and I'm curious whether Ditto could be the same. Okay, so what we've got here now is a chance to an explainer video, a Heimler video. You don't show any of the AP Daily videos, do you, by any chance?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I do once in a while, but not often.
Yeah, but a Heimler video, a review video, you could show. And and then you could create these questions. Will you be assigning any of his review videos?
Oh yeah, especially once we get back from break. They're great for reinforcing material right before the test.
And if you decide to pair Class Companion with a Heimler video, I'd be really curious how that works and what the students say. And I'm especially curious what happens. Have you ever had students dispute the feedback? Has that ever occurred? Yeah.
Last year, yeah, there were some girls in my first hour class that they would dispute feedback quite often. They were good kids. That was a special group of kids last year. But they would often argue with the AI and dispute things, and I'd have to pull out the College Board scoring criteria, the big matrix of everything, and really break down what the AI was saying versus what they wrote. And man, we got lost in the weeds a lot. It turned into a lot of what is the definition of is in the sentence.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it happens. And I think it's good for the kids to challenge the score they may get. It's no different than a kid going up to the teacher and saying, why did I get an 83 on this and not a 90?
Yep.
Got to explain it.
There's one last thing I'd like to explore with you, but before I get there, I'm just curious, is there anything that you would like to share or show or say at this point?
I had a young student last year She was very interesting in class. Um, she would rock the multiple choice questions. We did multiple choice question tests, stimulus based, very similar to the test. And she would always get 90, 95%.
Wow.
She would rock it. But when it came to writing, she was a terrible writer. And she freely admitted, she goes, I just can't write well. I think I'm bad at it. I'm embarrassed by it. So I don't want to do it. And I was like, look, you're really smart. You're obviously learning the material because you're acing the tests pretty much without trying too hard. You get it done quickly. Like, there's no reason why we just can't work on your writing skills. So all the teachers that I work with, Trevino, Peralta, we essentially bribed her with breakfast. I said, come in before school. We'll get you some breakfast. And she sat in my room and we worked on how to write a thesis statement. And I'm telling you, Peter, this was like March. We were like working on these skills in March of how to write a thesis. And we used Class Companion just to get that instant feedback and try to get her to write a thesis statement. And we got there. And then next week we worked on contextualization. And it was a grind. And she was frustrated days. And I'd get frustrated days because one day she's writing well. And the next day she kind of goes backwards. You know, that success line's not just a straight line, right? And so the test comes and goes. And July comes and I get my score report right. And she passed the test. She got a 3. She got that college credit.
Nice.
And
Nice.
that's one of my more proud moments teaching AP World History, because she was an English language learner student. She didn't like having to write, but she stuck with it and she didn't give up. And I tell kids, even this year, I said it's all about persistence, right? You're gonna get knocked down, and a lot of these kids are honors students. They're not used to struggling in school, and as they walk into AP World History, that's a tough, challenging class. You're gonna get your butt kicked some days, and I tell the kids, I'd rather have someone who's persistent than someone who's trying to be perfect. Nice phrase. Persistence is going to win. Perfection, you're gonna, as the kids like to say, crash out. You're gonna burn out. You're not gonna want to do it anymore because you're going for perfection. But if you're just persistent at it, that we can work with.
Let's build on that just a little bit. Let me see if you're familiar with this. Go ahead and I'm going to add you back here. Go to assignment, and you had touched on it earlier. Add an assignment and find in the content library. So now you see at the top where it says review. Oh, no, hang on. Go back one.
Don't go back one?
Yeah, go back one. See at the top where it says review session.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Have you explored that at all?
Not quite yet this year. I know I did last year.
Yeah. Just came out last year at about this time. Yeah. And now go ahead and we're going to do the assignments for AP World History. And there they are. So you see where it says AP Success, right? That's what we're talking about. And there are a number of different challenges, if you will, multiple choice, SAQ, and so on. What I'm looking for, and I think we might have to plug it in, I haven't searched for this in a while, but it's based on something that you said, is thesis. So AP Success thesis, I don't know. What we're looking for is targeted thesis. Can you, up top, is there a search for thesis bar? Is that available? How are we going to do this? Thesis. I wonder if this is going to work. And if not, I'll find it. No. What if we just do thesis? Okay,
everyone. Oh, here we go. Here's an AP Success.
Let's try that. Practice. That's what I'm having in mind here. Let's see how this looks. So it's just one, right?
There's about.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. Yeah. So this I found to be pretty powerful in helping kids master a specific skill, sort of targeted skills, as opposed to having them write an entire DBQ or an LEQ.
Right.
but it does require them to have reviewed for the year. So it really doesn't have much value until towards the very end. But because these prompts come from any point in time in the 9 units. But I'm wondering if that would be anything that would be of value or useful
Oh
for
yeah,
a student like the one you just described.
yeah. This would be perfect for that kind of situation, because you get 10 cracks at writing thesis statements,
Right.
and and at the end you either love it or you want to pull your hair out,
Right.
or both. And it can also help kids figure out where they're kind of weak in one of the content areas as well. So you can use this in multiple different ways.
And if you go back, you should also be able to see something like that for contextualization, where you have a number of prompts and all you're being asked to do is to contextualize the prompt. As I lose my computer stand here, so give me a second, but go ahead and see if you can find it. There we go.
There's nothing for AP success.
Okay, I know it is for US, but maybe not for contextualization. There, no, no, it looks like it's individual.
Yeah, a lot of teachers have stuff posted.
Right. But I'm curious what would happen if you went to the Create with AI and you said, hey, give me 10 AP World History prompts. I want them all to start with the phrase, evaluate the extent to which, and create for me 10 prompts. So all start with evaluate the extent to which. And then I want students, give me actually 10. You said 10, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And I want for each prompt, I want the student to be required to just do try to earn the contextualization point and nothing else. And I know I didn't kick that out very smoothly, but you got the idea. And I'm glad you're editing me here.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's see. Something to play with anyway.
Well, that's the thing with teaching, right? Like, you got to be willing to make those mistakes.
Yeah. Really curious if this will work. First, I'm curious about the quality of the prompts. I'm going to let you judge them because
they look decent.
Decent, right? Yeah.
I mean, if you're working on contextualization, you're just fine-tuning that one skill, this would work for that.
I have to tell you what I'm really impressed with is that it looks like from where I'm sitting that each prompt has a time period placed at the end. A year ago, you would have had to have been very specific and said, I want a time period. I don't want it to exceed X number of years. And I want it placed at the very end.
And not just that, but sometimes it uses the numeric numbers and other times it's going 13th, 14th centuries.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really, really making sure the kids know their time periods. There's always kids who get those mixed up.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, so I want to just recap with you. What have we done here? Well, actually, you recap for us. What have you shown us here, and what have you learned? Let's try it that way.
All right. We went over how to create a bunch of different assignments using Class Companion. Right here at the end, we used the AI feature to come up with some contextualization prompts for the kiddos. Earlier, we tried that with multiple choice using a Steve Heimler video. He's milking a lot of brain cows this time of year. We looked at how to create an SAQ from the ready-made assignments. We talked about feedback that the AI gave the kids, if it's reliable, is it accurate, is it consistent? So we covered a lot of ground today.
Very nice. Very nice. Steve, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of this. For those who are watching, and for Steve too, I'm going to be presenting at the AP conference in Boston this year. It's in the summertime, July. And when I do, the topic of my presentation, thank you, will be using AI to transform the AP prep, not just social studies, but all exam prep. I have a co-presenter. We gave this presentation last year, focused just on social studies, and have been invited back to broaden this out. So this should prove of value to teachers, and this presentation should prove of value. It's designed to proving a value to every single AP teacher. But what we're looking for are teachers who will produce 1 to 4 minute videos. So if you would, Steve, if you're interested, a quick 1 to 4 minute video on how you're using AI. It does not have to focus solely on Class Companion. If you want to mention Class Companion, fine. If you don't, but for those who will watch this video, I would love to have that. I'll do a quick summary of the video. We plan to attach them all to the end of our slideshow, and hopefully we'll have dozens and dozens and dozens of AP teachers submitting videos to share with all the attendees at the APAC conference this year. So I would love to see that if you can work that into your time, and clearly you can wait until after school. But other than that, I want to thank you tremendously for being here. I want to wish you and your students a great run down the backstretch, and certainly the best of scores this year. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Before we go, should we address some of the questions in the comments?
Oh my goodness gracious! Yes, I did not even see them there. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah.
Stan.
Okay. you want to go, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try it. How well does the AI handle sourcing documents for DBQ? I think it's gotten a lot better. If you would ask me 2 years ago, I would have been hesitant. But in the last years, it's really, really improved. So much so that when my school gives the mock AP World History test here in about 10 days, we're using Class Companion for all the writing components of the test, with the timer, with the DBQ, LEQ, SAQ. We have all set up to mirror what the test looks like. So we're going to give it a shot, and I'm pretty confident about it.
I'd like to comment on that one too. I have found that AI is sort of like a human being. It doesn't want to be directed to do too many things at one time. And when we're talking sourcing, that's really 4 different tasks. Check for this, check for that, this and that, the 4. So I just tell my students, just do historical situation. That's all. And then I will actually redirect the rubric to only assess for historical situation. And I find that accuracy tends to go up. But given what you're about to do, I would probably just leave it as is and see where it goes.
Yeah, I tell my students to focus on one skill. I mean, if you're trying to do all 4, you're going to trip yourself up. I say,
exactly.
Pick like audience or purpose, something simple. Sometimes they get into the point of view. I'm like, okay, hang on a second. To me, that's one of the harder sourcing skills. But if you're just kind of do purpose or audience, that one tends to be easier for the kids to grapple.
We're going to continue down the list of questions. Gwen, I really apologize. Stan, apologize. I'm just seeing them now. It was hiding behind another bit on my screen here. Steve, do you see anything there we want to address?
Gwen had a question about, can you use the AI mashup for non-YouTube videos? Apparently she makes her own.
Well, if you plug in the transcript, yes, right?
So all you need is a transcript of any video.
Yeah. I'm not so sure how well it reads a link. That I don't know about.
I'll have to give that a shot.
Anything else we've got there?
I think that was the only 2 questions. I'm just happy we had questions.
Yeah. I'm looking at Steve, I love that you are using this wrong. Good, fine. Great. Well, okay, wonderful. Then we are just about at 55 minutes. And Steve, unless you got anything else.
No, I'm good.
Thank you again. I really do appreciate it. It was kind of you, and I enjoyed our hour together.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.